The explosion of fentanyl and fentanyl-laced drugs in the United States is a key target of the newest United States Attorney for the Western District of Michigan, Mark Totten. He, along with DEA and local hospital officials, held a news conference today to talk about that. Mr. Totten has been on the job since May and says fentanyl is turning up with alarming frequency, something he hopes to fight. He talked with News 8's Rick Alvin today.
This is perhaps a bigger problem than many of us know, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, in 2021, across the United States, we saw the highest number of drug-related deaths ever. Almost 108,000 people died in 2021. And that market increase is almost entirely due to one drug. It's what you mentioned. It's the drug fentanyl. It's showing up in everything. One particular form that is particularly dangerous is it is being produced as a counterfeit pill. And so you see a pill that might look like a Xanax or an Adderall, and in fact, it's a counterfeit pill. It is laced with fentanyl. And what we have found is that in these counterfeit pills, upwards of 4 out of every 10 of them contain a potentially lethal dose of fentanyl. And so, for example, you have, teenagers who might be at a party and for the first time ever, they decide to pop a pill that someone hands to them. They say it's a Xanax, this will loosen you up a little. And it turns out that within 60 minutes, they're dead. They don't even realize what they've swallowed. I've got 2 teenage kids at home, and when I really began to grapple with what was happening here, the first thing I did was to sit them down, and I've done this a few times since, and just to tell them, if you have not gotten a prescription drug from a doctor, never ever take it, because you just don't know what it might contain.
This may be an unfair question, but it's the one that popped immediately into my mind. What is the motivation for people to use this kind of a dangerous substance and put it in these fake pills?
Yeah, I mean, it seems almost counterintuitive, right? Because in a sense, you're killing your customers. And, I don't know that I have an answer for that. I think part of it is a lack of sophistication. Drugs get mixed unevenly, and so people don't even realize what they're producing. But there also just seems to be an endless supply of these drugs. They are being, brought in very high numbers. They're being pushed on social media. Snapchat is used, we've seen continuously, as a means to try to market these drugs, and so they're widely available, and that makes them all the more dangerous.
What do you do in law enforcement from your office?
Yeah.
Obviously, you have all of these emblems up here. You work with the DEA. You work with all of the folks who would be responsible for tracking this down. How do you do that?
Yeah. So we do have some great partners, and law enforcement across the state at all levels, I know, is hyper-focused on this issue because of the threat it poses. I really see our role as being twofold. One is public education. It's having these types of conversations so that parents, community members start to realize what a threat is out there. And then the second part, of course, for us is prosecution. We want to hold people accountable. We want to try to stop the largest importers of these drugs into the district. And we also have a charge called distribution resulting in death. If somebody deals a drug that ends up killing a person and we can prove that drug caused it, the minimum penalty for that sentence is 20 years in prison. And so we use those tools carefully, but given the nature of this threat, we're going to use them as needed to help protect people.